The U.S. Department of Energy just released a report. I've spent 20 years building disaster recovery plans for Fortune 500 companies. And this one stopped me cold. They're saying blackout hours in America could increase 100-fold by 2030. Not 100%, 100 times. We're talking going from a few hours a year to potentially 800 hours. That's 33 days. Without reliable power. And here's the part that almost nobody is talking about. Losing electricity is only half the problem. I've reviewed the federal data, I've read what independent energy analysts are saying, and I've translated it the same way I'd translate a risk report for a corporate board into something you can actually act on. This video isn't about who caused the problem. Politicians can argue about that. My job, and yours, is to have a plan regardless of who wins that debate. Build the plan, skip the panic. Let's go. I want to be clear about something before we go further. I'm not a doomsday guy. I don't own a bunker. My go bag is a really organized backpack in my closet. But I've spent over 20 years helping major companies answer one question. If something goes wrong, a hurricane, a cyber attack, a supplier failure, what do you do next? What stays running? What breaks first? Who do you call? That discipline is called business continuity and disaster recovery. And the dirty little secret is that most households have never applied a single principle from it to their own lives. Remember when the power went out and your mom just lit candles and waited? We can do better than that. A lot better. Here's what I want you to understand. That almost every other video on this topic gets wrong. When people talk about power outages, they're thinking of a single grid, the electric grid, the wires that bring juice to your house. But in 2026, your household depends on two grids, the physical grid, electricity, and the digital grid, the internet, cloud services, cell networks, payment systems. And here's the kicker. They can fail independently. The lights can be on, and you can still be completely cut off. In October 2025, Amazon Web Services, the cloud platform that powers a significant portion of the internet, went down for several hours. Banks, airlines, shopping, social media, all of it. Offline. The lights were on across America, but for millions of people, the digital world had gone dark. And before that, CrowdStrike in 2024. A single software update crashed systems worldwide. Hospitals, airports, emergency services, $5 billion in losses in one day. I spent a career teaching executives about something called interdependency risk. It's what happens when two critical systems fail at the same time. The damage isn't doubled, it's multiplied. No electricity and no internet, your phone becomes a brick. Your bank card stops working. Your home security system goes dark. If you're on a CPAP machine, or you have a parent who is, you're now in a medical situation. That's not fear-mongering, that's a risk assessment. And the good news, the genuinely good news, is that this is exactly the kind of risk that a plan can neutralize. So here's the framework I want to give you. It's the same framework I'd use for a corporate client, translated for your house. When I build a disaster recovery plan for a company, the first thing I do is not buy gear. It's not make a checklist. The first thing I do is a dependency map. I ask, what does this organization actually need to function? Not what it wants. What does it need? And then I rank those needs by consequence. If this fails, what else breaks with it? Your household works the same way. So please do a quick mental exercise with me. Think about what your house needs to function, not to be comfortable, to be safe and functional. Tier 1. Life safety, medical devices, heat in winter, cooling in extreme summer heat, refrigerated medications. If these fail, consequences happen in hours, not days. This is your non-negotiable tier. If you have a CPAP, an insulin-dependent family member, or a parent on home oxygen, Tier 1 planning is not optional for you. Tier 2. Communication. Your ability to receive emergency alerts, your ability to contact family, access to emergency services. If Tier 2 fails, you become isolated. You don't know what's happening outside your door. Tier 3. Shelter comfort. Your ability to maintain a livable temperature for more than 24 hours. Food safety, lighting, clean water access. If Tier 3 fails, consequences occur within 1 to 3 days. You're uncomfortable, but you have time to adapt. Tier 4. Financial access, cash on hand, ability to pay for fuel, food, or a hotel if you need to leave. Access to important documents when the digital payment grid is down, and we now know it can be, Plastic doesn't work. The household with $200 in small bills is in a very different situation from the household that doesn't. Here's what makes this framework different from a gear list. A gear list tells you what to buy. A dependency map tells you what to protect. And in what order. If you have a CPAP machine and you spend your preparedness budget on a fancy lantern, you've got your priorities backwards. The lantern is nice. The CPAP is a medical device. Start at Tier 1. Work your way down. Don't buy a generator before you know what you actually need to run on it. Think about how you functioned in 1987. Actually think about it. You had a phone book. Because phone numbers weren't in your head, they were on a page. You had cash. Because cards weren't everywhere yet. You had a paper map in your glove compartment. Because GPS didn't exist. You knew your neighbors. Because your phone didn't work in every room of your house. And here's the uncomfortable question. Do you still have any of that? When the AWS outage took down banking and communications last October, the households that were fine were not the most digitally sophisticated. They were the ones who had $20 in cash and a battery-powered radio. I call this the analog backup principle. For every critical digital dependency in your household, you need a manual, non-network fallback. Your phone contacts are in the cloud, which means you need a written list of the 10 numbers that matter. Your bank account is digital, which means you need $200 to $300 in small bills at home right now. Your medical records are in an app, which means you need a physical copy of critical prescriptions and insurance information. Your emergency alerts come through your phone, which means you need a battery-powered weather radio. None of this is complicated, none of this is expensive, and almost none of us have actually done it. Now let's talk about backup power, and I'm going to give you the framework I use. Not a product recommendation, because the right solution genuinely depends on your situation. Here's the first question I always ask. What do you actually need to run? Because that question determines everything else. If the answer is my CPAP and my phone, that's a very different power solution than my refrigerator, my sump pump, and my central air. The first solution costs under $500. The second is a whole house generator conversation. Start with your Tier 1 needs. What's the minimum viable power for your household to be safe? Level 1. Portable power banks. Under $100. Charges. Phones. Runs a CPAP for 1 to 2 nights on some models. And powers small LED lights. This is your baseline. Everyone should have at least 2. Kept charged. Cost. $50 to $100. Level 2. Portable power stations. $300 to $700. Can run a CPAP for several nights. Power a mini fridge. Run a fan. Or a small space heater. Silent. Works indoors. The right choice for most households. Level 3. Generator. The right choice when you have high draw needs. Well pump. Sump pump. Medical equipment that needs full household power. And multi-day outages. Requires outdoor operation, fuel storage, and carbon monoxide safety discipline. This is not a spontaneous purchase. Plan it. One rule I want to plant in your head right now that will save your life or someone else's. Generators go outside. Full stop. Not in the garage. Not near a window. Outside. Away from the house. Carbon monoxide is colorless and odorless. It killed people after Hurricane Ian. It killed people after the Texas freeze in 2021. Every single time, it's the same story. Someone pulled a generator into a garage because it was raining. Get a battery-powered carbon monoxide detector. Keep it near your sleeping areas. It's $20. There is no backup power plan that doesn't include this. Okay, you've got the framework. You understand the 2-grid problem. You've thought about your dependency tiers. Now here's what I want you to do this week. Not someday. Not when you get around to it. This week. Because the DOE isn't saying this risk is coming in 2040. They're saying 2030. That's not far. And in my world, we have a saying. A plan that exists on Tuesday is worth more than a perfect plan that doesn't exist yet. Action 1. Do your dependency map. Tonight, with a piece of paper. It takes 20 minutes. It is the most important thing on this list. Action 2. Get $200 in small bills and put them somewhere in your home. Not because the economy is collapsing, because the payment grid can go down. And it did last October. Cash still works every time. Action 3. Write down 10 phone numbers, family members, your doctor, your local utilities outage reporting line, your insurance company, because if your phone is dead and you borrow someone else's, you cannot access your contacts. Action 4. Check your power banks. Plug them in tonight. If you don't have one, buy one this week for under $50. Start there. Action 5. Download the checklist in the description. I've built a household power resilience checklist that walks through all 4 dependency tiers: what to have, what to do, and the order in which to do them. It's free. It takes 15 minutes to complete. And when you're done, you'll know exactly where your gaps are. Here's what I want you to take away from this video. The risk is real. Credentialed analysts from the federal government and independent energy firms agree on that. Even when they disagree on everything else, more outages are coming. The grid is under pressure from AI, from aging infrastructure, and from weather. And now you know, it's not just the physical grid, it's the digital one too. But you also know that this is a solvable problem, not with a bunker, not with a year of freeze-dried food, with a dependency map, a cash reserve, some written phone numbers, and a plan that lives on paper, not in an app that might be offline when you need it. Also, if you found this video useful, check the description below. I've linked a few products that are directly relevant to what we covered today. Everything I recommend, I've either used myself or evaluated against professional standards. Nothing I wouldn't put in my own household. And the next video, you're going to want to see this one. We're talking about the 5 insurance mistakes that will absolutely bankrupt you after a disaster. Most people don't find out about these mistakes until they're standing in front of a destroyed home, filing a claim, and hearing the word denied. I'm going to show you exactly what to look for before that moment arrives. That video is coming next. Hit subscribe so you don't miss it. I'm Ernie. This is Prepared, Not Paranoid. Build the plan, skip the panic, and maybe go charge your power bank right now.